Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel PMYG-Edu. I'm happy you guys are liking our videos and understanding what we are teaching. So last class we have discussed about the statements for, while, do while, and we have discussed briefly about them. If you still have doubts or if you haven't heard them, there's a link in the description, and also in the top right corner we have disclosed the video so you can check them later. Today I'm coming up with a new topic, which is structure of C++. This is a very important topic. So today's agenda is introduction. So basically I'm going to introduce you to what is a structure of C++, and I'm going to explain the different parts of a structure, and then we will do a simple program, and then I will conclude it with a summary. Alright, let's dive into the video. Structure of C++. So the skeleton of C++. So there are basically 7 parts in a structure of C++. If you are interested, then please do note it down, so because this is a very important question and you can get it in essays, and in the final exams it will be in the essays in the first unit. So yeah. Documentation section, linking section, definition section, global declaration section, function definition section, main function definition section. So I'm going to explain these in detail. Please don't freak out, okay? Alright, so the first one is documentation section. This section is like basically comments. This is not included in the program. This will not be executed. It is just written to make you understand what the program is about. This is just written just to, if you write a program and if you want your colleagues or your other friends to see it and understand it, you would just give them hints so that they would understand, but this is not executed. So that is documentation section, which is optional. If you don't want to write it, then it's okay. There's not going to be an error. All right. So for comments, for single line comments, we use double forward slashes, and for double line, such as this one I have displayed, we use slash, slash with a star mark, and enter with a star mark and slash. So this is an example for documentation section, which is none other than comments. Yeah, you were right. Next, the second one we have discussed is linking section. Yeah, so the linking section has 2 parts. The first one is header files. The second one is namespaces. I'm going to give a very detailed explanation of both of them in just right now. So header files. Generally, a program includes various elements like built-in functions, and like the predefined functions and classes, keywords, constants, operators. So these are, where do you think these are all stored, right? So for a program to be executed, we have some built-in functions, some classes, constructors, operators, keywords, and all these are have already been defined in a library, which is C++ standard library. So all these predefined things, elements, are stored in the standard predefined library, right? So in order to use such predefined element in a program, an appropriate header file must be included in the program. So for example, if you want to use some keywords, all right, and some constructors and operators like plus, minus, divided by symbols and all, you need to use a header file in order to take these inbuilt functions into use in your program. If you don't write the header file section, you may not get these inbuilt functions because you have not called the header file. The header file is nothing but this statement which allows you to use this predefined inbuilt functions. So standard headers are specified in a program to the preprocessor directive. So we use this hash include. You might be wondering why we use it. Because that is the standard header files and are specified in the program to the preprocessor directive. In the figure, IOStream header file is used. So when the compiler processes the instruction, we use hash include IOStream, right? It includes the content of the stream in the program. That means input output stream. We use cin and cout, right? So to use them in your program, to use cin and cout functions in your program, we have to write hash include IOStream. So these standard streams process data as a stream of characters. That is, data is read and displayed in continuous flow. A standard streams defined in IOStream are listed here. So IOStream. So the next one is namespace. You might always be wondering why we using namespace, right? So I am a student myself, and always I used to wonder, why do we write namespace? Like, do you not have spacebar in your keyboard, right? Yeah, everyone gets that doubt. So a namespace is nothing but which permits grouping of various entities like classes, objects, functions, and various C++ tokens under a single name. So to use all these objects, classes, functions in a single name, under a single name, we use namespace. Any user, like anyone, can create separate namespace for its own and can use them in another program as well. So we use namespace std. All right. So this is how we define and we write a namespace using namespace std. And we can also use namespace std using namespace names std, this semicolon, cout, etc. And third one is definition section. So this is one of the important ones, and it is used to declare constants and assign them some values. That means constants are those which are constant throughout the program, whose value we cannot change. And we can assign some values in constants in the definition section. And also we can also define our own data types. We can also in define is a compiler directive which tells the compiler whenever the message is found. We can also give identifiers some values and name them. So that is the definition section. That means we basically define whatever we want to, like give constants values, and create our own data types, declare variables and give them names, identifiers and all. So the next one is global declaration section. Global declaration is nothing but if you want to use a certain value throughout the program and not just in a single function, then you have to define the value or the statement that you want to use through the program on the top of the main function, outside the main function. So that will allow you to utilize this statement throughout the program. So if you use a statement inside the main function, that is only accessible through only in the main function. If you want to use it throughout the program, you have to define it outside the main function. So the variables and the classes definitions which are going to be used in the program are declared to make them global. The scope of variable declared in this section lasts until the program terminates. That you can these variables and these the scope of declaration will last until until we terminate the program. The next one is, yes, you are right, function definition section. Function definition. So what it is? So it contains all the functions which our main functions need. So we can, call. We can write our own functions and we can call them in the main function and all. So we define functions and we declare them whichever the main function needs. So this contains usually most of the times, most part, this section contains user-defined functions. That means we define functions with our own variable names. This part of the program can be written after the main function. But for this, write the function prototype in this section for the function for which we are going to write code after the main function. So you have to write it after the main function. Um, so I have been telling main function like a couple hundred of times. So you might be wondering what a main function is. The main function tells the compiler where the start execution of the program. So no matter how long you write, how much of code you write, or how much of user-defined functions you input in it, and how much of declaration definitions and constants, variables, global declaration, and everything, how much of everything you do, the execution starts from the main function. Don't forget that every time you type in something, the execution starts from the main function. The execution of program starts with the main function. All the statements that I executed are written in the main function. So if you want the statement to be executed, it should be in the main function. The compiler executes all the instructions which are written in the curly braces. So we will write. I will display the program. So for main function we have curly braces, right? So every statement in the curly braces will be executed. So all the statement instructions from the main function are executed. Control comes out of the main function and the program terminates and no longer execution is occur. So I have told you that the scope of the variable in this section lasts until the program terminates. So for global declaration, for those variables to for those variables to last will be till the program terminates. So once the compiler executes all these programs and then once the compile control comes outside of this program, outside of the main function, then the program terminates and there will be no further execution. So this is an example program. We will calculate the area of circle. See, this guy, someone other alien, he said. So we have written them in, forward slash asterisk asterisk forward slash, which is a comment that comes under the first thing that we have learned in the skeleton of structure of C++, which is documentation section. So this guy documented this section and then we have to link the section. That means we use the standard input output functions, and I will give you an example, two or more examples of this displaying the structure of C++ in the upcoming video. And I'm going to summarize everything in a bit. I'm going to wrap this up with a quick summarization. So we have learned the structure of C++ and we have learned that there are 7 parts. The first one is documentation section. That means we write comments. And there are 2 types of comments. Forward slash is 2 forward slash or forward slash asterisk and asterisk forward slash, and the next there is the linking section has header files and namespace, and then we have definition section. Here we basically define the constants, variables, we create our own data type, primitive data types, and we create our own user defined functions. And then global declaration, here we declare the variables that we need to use throughout the program, and these variables, the scope of these variables declared in this section lasts until the entire program is terminated. And then we have function declaration section. Here we declare the functions, we define them. Most part we have user defined functions, and then we have the main function. Here the execution starts, and the execution starts from the main function, and the total statements that are enclosed in the curly braces will be executed. Once the control comes out of the main function, then the program terminates. This is what we have learned today. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We have notes on each and every topic that we discuss here. You can contact us through our Instagram page. Keep smiling, slow and steady wins the race. Thank you.